debt feels like a mountain you can't climb, especially when your income is low. It's overwhelming, it's suffocating, and it can make you feel like you're stuck in a cycle you'll never escape.
But let me tell you something. Debt is not your destiny. It's a problem, yes, but it's a problem with a solution. You might look at your paycheck and think, there's no way I can make a dent in this, but I'm here to tell you that you can. It's going to take grit, discipline, and sacrifice, but it's absolutely possible. You don't have to live with the weight of debt forever. You don't have to keep losing sleep over late payments or wondering how you'll make it through the month. There is a way out, and it starts with one simple truth. Your income might be low, but your determination is what will get you through. You see, getting out of debt isn't about how much money you make. It's about how intentional you are with the money you have. Some of the most inspiring stories I've heard are from people who were earning minimum wage, barely scraping by, but they made a plan, stuck to it, and paid off thousands of dollars in debt. How? They refused to accept the lie that they couldn't win just because their income wasn't where they wanted it to be. They stopped making excuses and started taking ownership. And that's what I want for you. I want you to believe that no matter how tight your budget is, you can fight back. Debt might have knocked you down, but it hasn't knocked you out. You've still got some fight left in you. Here's the thing. Debt thrives on hopelessness. The longer you believe you'll never get out, the more likely you are to stay stuck. But the moment you decide to take control, no matter how small the steps, that's the moment you start to win. It's not about paying everything off overnight. It's about building momentum. It's about committing to the process, even when it feels like you're barely making a dent. Every extra dollar you put toward your debt, every unnecessary expense you cut, and every sacrifice you make is a step closer to freedom.
And let me tell you, financial freedom is worth every bit of the struggle.
Imagine waking up one day without the weight of debt hanging over your head. Imagine keeping every dollar you earn instead of sending it off to creditors. That's the kind of peace and freedom you're working toward, and it's possible. Be on a low income.
But let's be real. It's not going to be easy. There will be days when it feels impossible, when you're tempted to throw in the towel and just accept debt as a part of life. That's when you need to remind yourself why you're doing this.
You're fighting for your future. You're fighting for your family. You're fighting for the life you deserve, a life where your money works for you, not the other way around. So don't let your income level define what's possible. The journey might be slow, but every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. And those victories will add up one by one until you've conquered the mountain and left debt behind for good. You can do this. Let's get started. If you want to defeat debt, you've got to know exactly what you're up against. You can't fight an enemy you don't understand. And debt loves to hide in the shadows, lurking in unopened bills and ignored credit card statements. But here's the deal. The first step toward financial freedom is facing the truth, no matter how ugly it might be. You've got to pull every single debt out into the light and get real about what you owe.
This isn't the time to bury your head in the sand or hope it'll magically go away. Hope is not a strategy, and ignoring the problem won't solve it. In fact, ignoring the problem won't solve it. In fact, ignoring debt only makes it worse, letting interest pile up and stress grow.
So grab a pen and paper, open up your accounts, and start listing every single debt. Yes, every one of them. Student loans, credit cards, medical bills, personal loans, write them all down.
And don't stop there. For each debt, write down the balance, the interest rate, and the minimum monthly payment.
It's time to take a hard look at the whole picture. Maybe you've been avoiding this step because you're afraid of what you'll find.
Maybe you think it'll be too overwhelming. But trust me, there's power in knowing.
When you have a clear view of your debt, you can finally take control.
The numbers won't change just because you ignore them, but when you face them head on, you can start to make a plan.
And here's the thing. Even if the total makes you want to cry, you've already taken a huge step forward by acknowledging the problem.
You can't solve what you refuse to confront.
Now, once you've got all your debts listed out, it's time to prioritize. This is where strategy comes in. You've probably heard of the snowball and avalanche methods, but before you choose one, you need to identify your most urgent and dangerous debts.
High interest credit cards, they're costing you a fortune in interest every month. Missed payments on a loan, that's damaging your credit score and could lead to legal trouble. By organizing your debts, you'll see where your attention needs to go first.
You're creating a battle plan, and in this war against debt, every detail counts.
But here's the good news. Once you've laid it all out, the mountain of debt starts to feel less intimidating. Why? Because now it's not just a vague, overwhelming cloud hanging over your head. It's a series of specific targets you can tackle one by one. You've transformed your debt from an impossible obstacle into a series of manageable challenges. And trust me, with a clear plan, you'll start to see progress faster than you think.
Each payment you make, each debt you eliminate is a victory. It's one less burden, one step closer to freedom.
So don't shy away from this process. Yes, it's hard to face the numbers, but it's also empowering.
You're taking control. You're taking control. You're saying, I'm done letting debt control my life. From this moment on, you're in charge.
You've identified the enemy, and now you're ready to fight.
Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. You've got this.
When you're living on a low income and trying to get out of debt, every single dollar matters. There's no room for guesswork, and there's certainly no room for waste.
That's why you need to create a bare bones budget, financial plan that strips away all the fluff and focuses solely on the essentials. This isn't about deprivation. It's about survival and strategy. You're in a battle against debt, and your budget is your battle plan. Every dollar needs to have a job, and its job is to help you get one step closer to financial freedom. The first step in creating this budget is identifying your absolute essentials. Food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. These are your four walls. They're the non-negotiables that keep you and your family safe and secure. Once those are covered, everything else is up for negotiation. Here's the hard truth. If it's not essential, it doesn't belong in your budget right now. That means cutting out the things you've convinced yourself you deserve but don't actually need. Cable TV, gone. Subscription boxes, canceled. Eating out, not for a while. And those little luxuries, like that daily coffee shop run or impulse buys at the store, they've got to go too. This is where discipline comes in. You're not cutting back forever. You're making sacrifices now so you can live debt-free later. And let me tell you, the freedom that comes with being debt-free is worth every temporary discomfort. When you don't owe anyone anything, you get to keep your whole paycheck. That's the life you're working toward. And every dollar you save today brings you closer to it.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Dave, I'm already living paycheck to paycheck. How much more can I possibly cut? And I hear you. But trust me, when you sit down and really examine your spending, you'll find areas where you can save. Maybe you switch to a cheaper phone plan or start meal prepping to save on groceries. Maybe you sell some stuff around the house you don't use anymore. It might not seem like much, but every little bit adds up. And remember, this is temporary. The tighter you can make your budget now, the faster you'll get out of debt, and the sooner you can start breathing easier.
But a bare bones budget isn't just about cutting costs. It's about maximizing every dollar. That's where the zero-based budget comes in. This method ensures that every dollar you earn is assigned a purpose before you even see it. You start with your income, subtract your essentials, and then allocate every remaining dollar towards your debt payments. At the end of the month, your income minus your expenses should equal zero. That way, no money slips through the cracks, and you're making the most of what you have. And you give every dollar a job. You take control of your money instead of letting it control you.
Here's the bottom line. Creating a bare bones budget isn't easy, and sticking to it is even harder. But it's one of the most powerful tools you have in your fight against debt. It forces you to be intentional with your money and keeps you focused on your goal. And the best part, as you start to see your debt balances go down, you'll feel an incredible sense of accomplishment and momentum.
You'll know that every sacrifice, every tough choice is paying off. So don't wait. Start your bare bones budget today and take the first step toward financial freedom. You've got this. Let's talk about one of the most powerful weapons you have in your fight against debt, increasing your income. When you're on a low income, it can feel like you're stuck in a never-ending cycle of just barely getting by. But here's the truth. You're not powerless. You may not be able to double your income overnight, but you can take steps to bring in more money, and every extra dollar makes a difference. The faster you can increase your income, the faster you can attack your debt and break free from its grip. And trust me, when you're staring down a mountain of debt, that extra income feels like a turbo boost, propelling you toward freedom. Start by looking at your current job. Is there an opportunity for overtime? Can you take on additional responsibilities or a new role that comes with a raise?
Don't be afraid to have a conversation with your boss about ways to increase your earning.
A lot of people hesitate to ask for more money because they're afraid of rejection. But here's the deal. If you're a valuable employee and you've proven your worth, your employer may be more open to it than you think. The worst they can say is no. And if that happens, you're no worse off than you are now. But if they say yes, that's more money in your pocket, money that can go directly toward crushing your debt. If your current job doesn't offer room for growth, it's time to think outside the box. This is where side hustles come in. We're living in a gig economy, and there are more ways than ever to make extra money. You could deliver groceries, drive for a rideshare company, or pick up freelance work in your area of expertise. Maybe you have a skill like graphic design, writing, or photography that you can turn into a side business. Or perhaps you're great with your hands and can take on odd jobs like lawn care, house cleaning, or handyman work. The point is, there's money to be made if you're willing to hustle. And yes, it's going to take time and effort, but remember, this is temporary. You're sacrificing now to build a better future for yourself and your family. And don't overlook the stuff you already own. Got a closet full of clothes you don't wear. Sell them online. Have old electronics or furniture collecting dust. List them on a marketplace. You'd be amazed at how much cash you can free up just by decluttering your home.
It's not a long-term solution, but it's a quick way to put some extra money toward your debt right now.
Every little bit helps, and those small wins add up faster than you think.
But let's take it a step further. Think about your skills and how you can invest in yourself to earn more in the long run. Maybe it's time to learn a new trade or go back to school for a certification that will boost your earning potential. Yeah, that takes time and sometimes money. But if it positions you for a higher paying job down the road, it's worth considering. Just make sure you're doing it strategically. Don't take on more debt to do it. There are plenty of low cost or free resources available to help you upskill without breaking the bank. Here's the bottom line. Increasing your income might feel like a tall order, especially if you're already stretched thin.
But it's one of the most effective ways to speed up your debt payoff and create breathing room in your budget.
Every extra dollar you earn is a dollar you can throw at your debt, accelerating your journey to financial freedom. So don't settle for your current income as your ceiling. Get creative, get resourceful, and get to work. You have more power than you think to change your financial situation. And it starts with taking action today. Let's make it happen.
When it comes to paying off debt, one of the most important decisions you'll make is how to tackle it. And let me tell you, the method you choose matters less than the fact that you're taking action.
The key is to pick a strategy, commit to it, and start knocking out those debts one by one. The two most popular methods, snowball and avalanche. Each have their strengths, and depending on your personality and financial situation, one may resonate with you more. But no matter which route you take, the goal is the same. Gain momentum, stay motivated, and destroy your debt for good. Let's start with the snowball method. This one's all about building quick wins. You list your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of interest rates, and focus all your energy on paying off the smallest debt first.
Once that's gone, you roll the payment you were making on that debt into the next smallest one, and so on. It's called the snowball method because your payments snowball, growing larger and more powerful as you eliminate each debt.
The beauty of this approach is psychological. Those early victories give you a rush of motivation. When you see that first debt disappear, you realize, I can do this, and that momentum keeps you going. You start to believe in yourself and your ability to tackle even the bigger debts down the line. Now, if you're more numbers driven and want to save the most money over time, the avalanche method might be your go. With this approach, you focus on paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first, while continuing to make minimum payments on the others. Once the high interest debt is gone, you move on to the next highest interest rate and so forth. The advantage here is clear. You'll save more money in the long run because you're minimizing the amount of interest you pay. It's a smart, efficient strategy for those who can stay disciplined and aren't as concerned about the quick wins. But here's the thing. Avalanche can feel slow at the start. You might be chipping away at a big, high-interest loan for months before you see significant progress, and that can be discouraging if you're someone who needs to feel the thrill of victory to stay motivated. So, which method is better? Honestly, it depends on you. If you need those small wins to stay fired up, go with Snowball. If you're laser focused on minimizing interest and maximizing savings, Avalanche might be the better fit. The important thing is that you don't get caught in analysis paralysis, debating which method is best. The best method is the one you'll stick with.
Whether you're rolling snowballs or triggering avalanches, the point is that you're moving forward, breaking the cycle of debt, and gaining control of your finances. And here's a pro tip. Whatever method you choose, track your progress. Put a chart on your fridge or use an app to visualize your debt shrinking over time. Celebrate every milestone, no matter how small. Paid off a $500 credit card, that's worth a high five and a victory dance in your kitchen. Eliminated a high interest loan that's been hanging over your head for years. That's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. Take a moment to acknowledge how far you've come. These celebrations aren't just feel-good moments. They're fuel to keep you going when the journey feels long. The bottom line is this. You didn't get into debt overnight, and you won't get out of it overnight either. But with the right plan and unwavering determination, you can and will get out.
The choice of method is simply a tool to help you along the way. So pick your path, commit to the process, and start chipping away at those debts today. Because every payment you make, every debt you crush, brings you closer to the life of financial freedom you deserve. Let's get to work and make it happen.
Let's be real. Paying off debt, especially on a low income, is not easy. It's going to take every ounce of discipline you've got. There will be days when it feels like you're making no progress, when the sacrifices seem too great, and when you wonder if it's even worth it.
But let me tell you something, it is worth it. Every dollar you put toward your debt is a dollar closer to financial freedom. Every time you choose to stay on track instead of giving in to short-term comfort, you're building a future where your money is truly yours.
And that future,
it's one of peace, security, and opportunity. The journey may be tough, but the destination is life-changing. You've got to stay disciplined, stay focused, and keep your eyes on the prize. Discipline starts with your mindset. You have to remind yourself daily why you're doing this. You're not just paying off debt for the sake of numbers on a page. You're fighting for your freedom, for your family, for a life where you're no longer enslaved to creditors. Picture that life. What will it feel like when you wake up and your paycheck belongs to you? Not a dozen different lenders. Imagine the relief of knowing you can handle any financial emergency without panicking. That vision should drive every decision you make. Every time you're tempted to splurge on something you don't need, remember that vision. Ask yourself, is this purchase more important than my freedom? The answer is almost always no. But discipline alone isn't enough. You need motivation too.
And motivation comes from celebrating your wins, no matter how small. Paid off your first debt. That's huge. Celebrate it.
Even if it's just a small credit card balance, it's one less debt weighing you down. Track your progress, whether it's with a chart, an app, or even just a notebook. Watching those balances shrink over time will give you the momentum to keep going. And don't forget to share your wins with people who support you. Accountability partners, friends, or family who cheer you on can make all the difference on those tough days when you feel like giving up. Now let's talk about the inevitable setbacks. Life will throw curveballs. Maybe your car breaks down or an unexpected medical bill pops up. It's easy to feel defeated in those moments. But here's the thing. Setbacks are part of the journey.
They don't mean you've failed. They just mean you're human. When setbacks happen, adjust your plan, refocus, and keep moving forward. Don't let one bad month derail your progress.
Remember, paying off debt is a marathon, not a sprint. What matters is not how quickly you reach the finish line, but that you stay in the race. And here's something else to keep in mind. This journey will change you. It's not just about eliminating debt. It's about becoming the kind of person who handles money with wisdom and purpose. You're building habits that will serve you for a lifetime. Habits like budgeting, saving, and making intentional financial decisions. These are skills that will not only help you get out of debt, but also ensure you stay out of debt and build wealth for the future.
You're laying a foundation for a life of financial peace, and that's something no one can take away from you.
So here's my challenge to you. Don't quit. No matter how long the road feels, no matter how hard the journey gets, keep going. You're stronger than you think, and you have what it takes to win. The sacrifices you make today will lead to a life of freedom tomorrow. And when you finally cross that finish line, when you make that last debt payment, you'll look back and realize it was all worth it. You'll realize you're not just debt free. You're free to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's go make that dream a reality. You've got this